समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
As you know by now, for about 25 years, maybe a bit more than 25 years, I travel through states, regions, sometimes neighboring countries, particularly during elections, and look at what's written on the wall, sometimes even literally, to give you an idea of what's changing or what's not changing, what's going on, what's on people's minds. In the same series, I've done a bunch of these on West Bengal or from West Bengal, beginning 2011. I've shared some with you already. And as you also know, I'm converting all of these into a video archive now, which I'm sharing with you. So this is in the West Bengal series, the second one from 2014 Parliament elections. And how does it begin? Every teacher, I said, every teacher in a journalism school and subsequently every guru in a newsroom or a dada in a newsroom tells you one central principle. Never approach a story with preconceived notions or prejudices. Yet every journalist, even one with the vintage of this reporter, does precisely that. Particularly if it happens to be a story as old and as contentious as West Bengal politics. And the fact that you hold a strong view on it, as I do as a critic of the left, doesn't help. So you can begin by believing every negative stereotype about the politics of a remarkable state that has kept in power one party and one with which I have had an intellectual argument. These stereotypes range from deindustrialization to forced industrialization at the cost of farming, massive urban decay and rural deprivation, a reign of terror, total underdevelopment and destitution, and so on. And it is precisely because you begin your travels through West Bengal with all of this baggage, reading the writings on the wall, hearing the mood on the street, and sniffing the political air for a hawa of some sort, that it is such a remarkable reality check. Remarkable because most of what you presumed about West Bengal under the left does not fully measure up to the facts on the ground, and that is a surprise. Remarkable also because you learn that Bengal politics is more complex than you had imagined, and so might be the reason why its voters have made up their minds to bring about a stunning change in spite of the reality not quite matching up to your notions of the governance disaster in West Bengal. Over 4 days of travel through Bengal's southwest on this occasion, that includes some of the poorest, driest districts, Bankura, Purulia, and even Midnapur to some extent, its own Jamshedpur light, which is Durgapur, and an industrial showpiece that could have been in Singur. One thing you do not see is hunger. Never a beggar, never a human being sitting or lying helpless, hapless on the street, even in villages that are nothing but mud hovels. In the driest zones, deep into the Maoist heartland of Lalgarh, made famous by the siege that rendered it liberated for months in 2008-2009, you find not just bore wells but even fully functional hand pumps. Roads are in excellent condition, and a real surprise, primary school buildings, health centers all look functional, even if not of the showpiece quality you might find in Gujarat or even in Tamil Nadu. Everybody is properly clothed. Nobody, repeat, nobody is in bare feet. Then why are people so angry? Let's find out. Come with me and cross the barrage on the Damodar on the road running from Durgapur through Bankura district, where the land gets drier with each mile, and stop at the village of Makurgram. There is a reasonable road connecting the main population set about a mile back from the highway. There is electricity and, most importantly, a borewell and a water tank. Yet, why does everybody complain of water being the biggest problem? You find out soon enough. As the tank was built, the CPM thugs put a red flag on it and announced that only those approved by them, meaning their party loyalists, would be allowed to access the water tank. That story then repeats in many versions at every stop you make. At the college in Barjora, where Mamata holds her election rally in a mud pile playground, you are told of how almost all the teachers are CPM cadres. Ditto for the school teachers in Parbelia Colliery in Purulia, in Dharmapur near Lalgarh, and in Lalgarh itself. And why is it such a problem? Because one, it tells you that unless you are a party faithful, you cannot get any of these government jobs. Two, schools and colleges, even district magistrates' offices hardly function, as so many days each month. So many days each month, all of these party cadres have to go and participate in Michlis. Michlis means political rallies. Mamata Banerjee has built her campaign as an Azadi ki ladai on a folklore of Marxist tyranny, of intimidation, torture, and reprisals. On the ground, however, it is more a story of politically determined deprivation and almost George Bush like, if you are not with us, you must be against us. So you will not get water, jobs, hospital admissions, anything. It is not always a narrative of physical thrashing or rape, but over 34 years, the piled up anger is bad enough, so bad that Mamata can pretty much choose her script and people will say, yes, Didi. Not that Didi needs much help with her script or her style. Having played the victim for 3 decades, she now strides on the stage like a giant killer. This is 2011. You can tell she has this election in the bag, even with the enthusiasm with which people on a burnishing and sultry afternoon in Barjora receive her helicopter, which lands kicking up a cloud of lung-choking red hematite dust. Didi has no time to sit nor the patience. She strides up and down the stage, not looking at anything or anybody in particular, just walking like a tigress stalking its already cornered prey, contemplating when to make her killer leap. She absent-mindedly gives the odd instruction to a worker or two, or maybe dismissively, totally ignoring the local crowd warmer singing her praises. Then she takes the microphone, a handheld microphone. Now, I have made my living as a traveling reporter dealing with many great rhetoricians and polemicists, people who could light up a mutiny just with their remarkable skills at talking to large crowds. The kind of rabble rouser the subcontinent specializes in producing. Bhindranwale, Kanshi Ram, Benazir Bhutto, Altaf Hussain of Pakistan's MQM, Assam's Praful Mahanta and Raghu Fukan in their better days, in their prime as student leaders, and far away, even Bill Clinton. Each of them had a distinctive style, but had one thing in common: their ability to keep eye contact with the audience. An elementary skill any school of public speaking will teach you first. But don't say that to Mamata. She doesn't bother. She grabs the wireless microphone, handheld, I told you, and continues to stride across the stage, up and back, talking, never looking at the audience, and yet getting it to respond, the audience to respond, as I have seen nobody else do in an election in years. She looks at nobody, in fact, just the floor now, the ceiling then, or just the odd cloud hanging low here and there. She just strides the 10 yards to the other end and does a quick turnaround like a lonely sentry in some commando comic kind of movies. The microphone, a rifle, and just recites a script that her audience knows by heart already, and more importantly, believes in. To be fair, she has worked on her message. It is not merely an old harangue about Marxist tyranny, though that is not missing either. She has picked up real issues, those that bedevil the people of her state. She attacks the left for having banished from government primary schools and robbing an entire generation of Bengalis of their competitive opportunity. All your children, she says, all your children were forced to sing, she says, and then anticipating the crowd joins her as she chants the popular Bengali kindergarten equivalent of A for apple. Oye ajkar ashe tere, oye amti khabo pere. It is tough to translate this, but it would be something like A for Ajgar, python, which is chasing after you. A for Amti, which is mango, which you pluck from the tree, and so on. And while your children were chanting this Bengali rhyme, what were the children of Marxist leaders singing? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, the front row answers. Now your children are begging for peons' jobs, and theirs have gone to England to become barristers. She rests her case. Or, as a mathematician would have said, QED. She knows the pulse of her people and their pain. She promises modern schools, colleges, and new specialty hospitals so you won't have to run to Madras anytime somebody in your family falls sick. For the first time, you also hear a mainstream leader make environment an election issue. Illegal, unregulated coal mining, she says, totally illegal sponge iron factories have destroyed your air. I will clean it up in 6 months. And then her condemnations, indictments, and promises delivered, she finally turns to her audience. Fist raised, Netaji style, and sets up a chant of CPM Arna, CPM no more. And then quickly disappears after making the shortest possible introduction of the candidates you have seen any campaigner make. They are not important in this election. You know, as Didi makes 10 stops a day, each time lighting a fire in a region so much the CPMs, this election was CPM versus Mamata Banerjee. It even defied her storm in the 2009 Lok Sabha elections. Off the campaign stage though, Mamata is more cautious than you have ever seen her to be. Election in the bag, she is not willing to take any chances. No false step, no false statement. शेखर दा, ये जंग है, आजादी का लड़ाई है, अभी कुछ बोलेगा नहीं हम, ये सीपीएम लोग मेरे वर्कर्स का मर्डर कर देगा. Is all she would say when you congratulate her on her victory. Decent roads, functional schools, electrification, food in the belly, clothing, footwear. So, if the left rule answers your basic needs of roti, kapda, makan, and even bijli, sadak, and padhai to a reasonable extent, what are you complaining about? The state has reduced poverty faster than most in the country. It has literacy levels above the national average. Search for evidence from the writings on the wall. In vast rural parts of this region, the walls have nothing to sell you. The clearest indication of this being a zone where people have nothing left in their pockets after filling their bellies. No factories, no offices, no sign at all of that new phenomenon, private engineering, management, and medical colleges, which are springing up elsewhere in the Indian countryside, holding out the comfort of higher education, promises of jobs higher up the value chain than subsistence on your miserable half-acre farm of paddy, okra, or sesame, or as a Narega labor. There is nothing at all to signal hope, opportunity, the promise of a better future. The bellies are, however, full. Where the left has gone wrong is in internalizing unquestioningly the idea of a Marxist utopia, of a non-urbanizing rural population where everybody should not only be satisfied but also send you thank you cards for not being made to starve or exploited as sharecroppers unlike their forefathers. They miss the fact, meanwhile, that this is not North Korea, that people here change, their desperation yielding to aspiration. It is for this reason that the left now faces the double blow, the 1-2 punch, or whatever you call it, of politics of grievance because of the cadre's excesses. That's one punch, and politics of aspiration. That is the second punch. Its self-serving notion of a perfect, minimalistic, subsistence farming rural Bengal where everybody has enough for his needs now lies in a shambles. In 4 days of travels in mostly farming countryside, I searched far and wide for that one symbol of agricultural success and surplus, the tractor. I found one in desperate Lalgarh of all places, and its owner told me he had been contracted to transport barbed wire for the CRPF. That's why he had bought this tractor. And who can you blame? Most land holdings post Operation Barga are just like a kitchen garden in an old Gurgaon house, too small to even justify a pair of bullocks, and people of Bengal will no longer be satisfied living off what it yields and the humiliating Narega handouts.